So that's another eggplant. And you can't do a no dig because that's just like digging. It's a golden Marconi. Y'all, I'm so sick of these bugs. What is that? Hello, welcome to Yellow Door Urban Homestead. I am Asia, and I'm an urban gardener growing in a small space out in my backyard. But this morning I have a few things. It's a very small amount of things that I can harvest. So we're gonna harvest together, but I'm also gonna talk about the ways that I grow in my garden. So I got a comment the other day, and I think sometimes I don't explain things because I'm just assuming that everybody knows it. And normally I do like vlog type things where I'm just talking, doing work in my garden. But I'm thinking today we could talk about all the ways that I grow and all the ways that I plant. So I'm growing in it, but the way that I plant. So we're gonna talk about no dig. We're gonna talk about raised beds. We're gonna talk about growing in bags. We're gonna talk about growing in ground. Oh, we're also gonna talk about growing in green stalks, talk about growing up, because I did get a question about how are my trellises set up. So I will talk about that today too. We'll talk a little bit about growing in greenhouses, but y'all know I'm very new to growing in greenhouses. And if you're new here, now you know. But anyway, I'm gonna get these eggplant. These are eggplants that I started from seed myself, and I forgot that I even planted them in here. They're a long purple eggplant. These are my favorite. I'm not a big fan of the larger eggplants, but I did get some from my local feed and seed just because I didn't think mine were gonna do well, especially since I always fight a flea beetle. I'm just gonna take everything that's on here, and for the most part, at this point in the season, I'm harvesting things small just because we're getting close to the time where our first frost is November. So I'm harvesting them small just so I can get a little more harvest between now and November. And actually, not even November, because I'm gonna clear the green stalks as soon as my beans finish. So the more I harvest, the more things will grow. So that's another eggplant. The eggplants have done really well in these green stalks. Really, really well in the green stalks. There's also some beans over here. I'm gonna go ahead and get those, and then we're gonna start talking as I harvest. And actually, let's just start talking now. Let's talk about what these options are. So no dig is an option where you just put down cardboard on the ground. You don't do anything to the ground. You can cut the grass down as low as you can get it. That will help. And then you put cardboard down on the ground. After that, you either add soil or you either add compost. You put that over top of the cardboard. Wet the cardboard, put the compost down or the soil down, and then you wet that too. And you can start planting in that immediately. In ground, I feel like it's self-explanatory, but I will tell you, you basically amend the soil that you're planning to plant in, and then you plant in it. So that's your cheapest option for sure, just to go ahead and plant in ground. Now, it depends on the type of soil that you have, how that will work for you, but people have been growing in ground for years. Long before people came up with all the new stuff, people were growing in ground, but you may just have to do a little bit more to grow in ground. By the way, a few cayenne peppers. And then you have raised beds. So raised beds can get expensive, but they don't have to be expensive. I have several different raised beds made by several different companies in my garden, and they all kind of are the same. You get some nuts and some bolts, you put it together, you put it up. Now, some of them I have seen on other channels where they start to rust, where they start to just not be a good product. I haven't had that situation in my garden. So I would say just kind of do your research, watch other videos where people have used those garden beds just to see, you know, if over time they start to rust or if over time they start to bow, things like that. I will show you all of my raised beds that I have. I have Vago raised beds, however you say it. I have Vivor raised beds. I have a Bootstrap Farmer raised bed, which for putting it together, that's my favorite raised bed. Putting it together was so easy. And then I have another one, which I will tell you the name of it when we get over there. I gotta look it up because I cannot remember the name of the company where it came from. But I have a few different ones. I like them all for different reasons, but What I'm saying is I'm not married to one raised bed company, but I do really like how easy it was to put the Bootstrap Farmer bed together. But I will tell you, if I ever needed a bed that height and that width, that size, that would be the bed that I would buy because it was so easy to put together. And I will put a link down to all of the beds so that you can do your own research in case you are interested in getting into gardening and you're just not sure about what raised bed you would like to use. But y'all, we got beans coming in. So this is a yellow bean. I don't remember the variety, but we got beans coming in. On the green stalks, there are also some dragon tongue. We got some of those coming in too. But we have lots of flowers. There's beans right here too. Now, what I don't know is if they're black beans or not. I didn't do any labeling when I planted these beans out, so I'm just gonna take them. I feel like I can eat them either way. I don't know why I'm cutting these. I got this for the for the eggplant. You can just pull beans off. More beans there. Yeah, it's a dragon tongue. Very pretty. It's another one. Pretty little purple bean. So then you have grow bags, pots, and containers, which is not the least expensive way to get started because you have to purchase the bags and then you have to purchase the soil. and that can get a little bit expensive. The soil and the compost, because I do like to put compost in my bags. When you're growing in bags, the only nutrients that the plant is gonna get is what you put in the bag. And so if you just put like a base soil in it, it is possible that the plant won't grow as best it can. And then I also put amendments in my bags like blood meal, bone meal, granulated fertilizer. So it's not the least expensive way to get started. However, if you are in a space where you cannot put out a raised bed or you can't grow in ground because you don't want to dig or you can't dig and you can't do a no dig because that's just like digging, bags and containers are a good way to get started. And so the next thing, and my most favorite this year, I'm very new to growing in green stalks, but I have really loved growing in green stalks this year, is a green stalk. And so green stalks are basically towers. They essentially have three different options. You can get a 3-tier, you can get a 7-tier, or you can get a 5-tier. And so you'll be able to grow like 30, 40 plants. And of course in the 3-tier, it'll be less than 30 or 40 plants. But yeah, you can grow a bunch of plants in one tower. And so I really love that. It has really extended my growing space. And it only takes up 2 square feet of space. And I do love that. Y'all, I can't get this pepper off of here, basically because it's not ready. I'm gonna let it finish ripening in the house. It's a golden Marconi, and this is another one. Sweet pepper, I really do like them. And so yeah, it only takes up 2 square feet of space, which is really cool to me because if you're growing in an urban space like me, even if you're not, it takes up less space in whatever area you are planning to grow in. So I really do like the green stalks. I've had a lot of success with the green stalks this year too. And I think that, you know, when you have success with something, you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna keep growing this way. So right now, I think I have 7 green stalks. And so yeah, I'm growing a lot of things in those green stalks that I still grow in the garden and raised beds and in the greenhouses, but I have more space to grow even more now. So that's our little harvest so far. We still need to go over to the other green stalks. I know I saw a bunch on here the other day. I was out here with my son talking. I just need to find them. Should have put on a long sleeve shirt. Y'all, I'm so sick of these bugs. Tank gonna lie to you. Oh, here they go. Well, here goes a few. But I thought I saw more over here somewhere. It's okay. It's okay. Let's go talk about how we grow, and I'll find those other ones later. They somewhere out here though. All right, so let's talk about in-ground. These are my blueberry bushes. All of my blueberry bushes are directly planted in the ground. There is no extra soil. There is no raised bed around them, they're just in the ground. And so for blueberries, you need an acidic soil. So I do use an amendment for them, but it was very easy for me to get started with those. Like I said, I just dug a hole big enough for these bushes to go in. I planted them. They've been growing here ever since. And I didn't add any soil. I don't think I added any compost. I'm really not sure, but you can. When you go to plant in ground, you can put it in the hole. You can even dig or till if you would like. There's a lot of information that says you shouldn't dig, you shouldn't till, but you have to do what works for you in your area. And if you have soil that needs to be broken up and it needs to be aerated, then do what works best for you so that you can get the harvest for you in your backyard. Because for the people who are saying don't do it, they have maybe come up with a really good way where it works for them, but it doesn't mean it's gonna work for everybody. So if you need to, I would say go ahead and do it. If you don't, then don't do it. The other spaces in my garden that are in ground is my whole entire orchard. My whole entire orchard is in ground, and I will tell you, with those trees being in ground, I don't fertilize. I don't really water them. I don't do much of anything to that area. If you are not new here, you know I got a good amount of peaches from over there this year and last year really, and I didn't do anything to that area. So growing in ground, there are minerals and things already in the earth that the plant can get to, and I don't know how that will work for annuals. I really don't grow annuals in ground, but for my perennials, I grow them in ground and they grow just fine. That grapevine is also in the ground. So now let's move on to no dig. So this bed here is a no dig. I'm growing my cabbages in there. There are some calendula in here, which honest truth, I think I'm gonna pull this calendula up and I'm gonna plant another fall vegetable here because I don't wanna waste time, and I do think that this is a waste of time. I don't know how quick they're gonna grow, but what I do know is they are not going to survive through the whole winter. I have a lot of calendula that I saved up from the summer, so I think I'll be fine. But here is a no dig, and you can see that it's elevated off of the ground. Reason why it's elevated off of the ground is because I had to add soil to it. And so every year, for the most part, I try to add another layer of compost to it. And then that way the soil is continually being fed and I'm adding organic matter. So this is one of my no dig beds right here. This is another no dig bed. It has collards in it. And like I said, you can see it's sitting up off of the ground because I had to add compost. This is another no dig section here. We have another one right here. And so I started doing no dig when I started not to want to spend so much money. And so I did not spend a lot of money for my block beds. I found most of them on Facebook Marketplace, most of the blocks on Facebook Marketplace. And then when I was ready to add more and I couldn't find any more on Facebook Marketplace, went to Home Depot and Lowe's and I grabbed some more. But I will tell you that I am thinking I need to make them a little bit higher. I've kind of been thinking about why my soil is getting compacted or like just tight. It's just getting tight. I grow 365 days a year, and so these beds never get to rest. People tell me why not let them rest, because I want to grow 365 days a year. And I think if I was to add a little more soil, that it wouldn't compact or settle so much. So I don't know that it's getting compact, but I do know that it is settling tight in the bed, which is probably the definition of compact. Back to no dig though. This is my asparagus bed, which is also no dig. I need to come through here soon and cut down these ferns. I just want to let them get as much sun as they can, because that's how they're going to get their energy to grow next year. They are perennial. And so as it relates to no dig, I really like no dig. It's an easy way to get set up. It's a quick way to get set up so you can start growing quickly, but it's also a less expensive way than doing raised beds if you're not using free material. So now let's talk about raised beds. I have block raised beds that we just talked about. I have 3 of those. There's one over here as well, and then there's one over here as well. And so with block beds, like I mentioned, you can look on Facebook Marketplace to see if there are people who are giving them away. And then I think when I was doing it, they were like $1 and some change for one. I don't know what they cost at this point in life because everything is more expensive now. But that was a pretty quick and cheap way to get started as well. The thing with this is, as I mentioned, I feel like I might need a second layer. Am I going to do that? I have no idea. Just seemed like a lot of work. But digging is also a lot of work. But it's less expensive for me to just dig these beds and turn them every year. So I will tell you that's kind of a con that I am seeing with these garden beds. However, they were quick and easy for me to get set up, and I started growing in 2020 with these block beds. And I don't enjoy planting in the holes anymore. Somebody asked me, like, are you going to plant in the holes? I just don't enjoy it, and I think some of it is because I have a lot of bags around my beds, and so I really can't get to it that easy. I don't like growing in the holes anymore, although you can. Let me put that out there. I have grown garlic in them. I've grown onions in them. Now, it wasn't successful, but I'm not saying it was the blocks because it wasn't overly successful. But I'm not saying it's the blocks because I also have not successfully grown them in any other kind of bed either. Other raised bed options. This is a Vigo garden bed. Very sturdy bed, like very strong. You aren't getting any give on this garden bed. And so they're made really strong. They should last for a while. I do like the Vigo garden beds, but I also like the fact that you can get them in different colors. So I really like this green color that it came in. And I'm not having any problems with like soil compaction in these either. You also don't have to fill them all the way up to the top because there's still enough soil for things to grow. Like this is an elderberry, there's a zinnia in here, and then there's a roselle on the back end. Over here you have another Vigo raised bed, a pretty gray color, and I'm not having any problems with soil compaction either, but it does settle. So I had filled this up to the top, I want to say in spring, and it has settled. So just showing you that that's one thing that you may have to do is add more soil. But the thing is, if you amend with compost, having a little extra space at the top is not really a big deal. And these ones come with like a little piece of rubber that covers the top of the bed so you don't cut yourself or anything. So I like that too about the Vigo garden beds. And then right here we have quick tent raised beds. And this is my first year. Like I literally put these in within the last month. So I can't give you a lot of information on them. They're pretty sturdy, but you do get a little bit of give, which, you know, for me, not a big deal. It's not bowing or anything. So both of these are from Quick Tent. And so when you are doing raised garden beds, we're going to go over into the greenhouse so I can show you the beds that's in there. But when you're doing raised garden beds, you got to think about the amount of soil that it's going to take to fill it up. Now, I don't fill my beds full of soil. I put other things in there, you know, things from the garden that's spent plants. I have tree stumps in the bottom of some of mine. I think I maybe have, you know, like leaves in the bottom of some of mine. It's going to break down over time. It's going to give the bed organic matter. And so just putting that out there too, you got to think about that when you are about to start. And so in the greenhouse, this is a Vivor raised bed. This is also a Vivor raised bed. This Vivor raised bed is bowing. We've talked about it before. It doesn't really bother me, but I'm just letting you know when I put the link down there, mine did bow. Now, I'm not saying everybody's does, but mine did. And then back here, we have a land guard raised bed, which I really do like. I like the height of it. It's very strong. You're not getting any give. It does have the nuts and bolts, but it's a nice size raised bed. I also really like the color of this one as well. So there's a land guard bed back here, and this is the bootstrap farmer bed I told y'all about. So this is the one that if I need something this size, this is what I would go with. It has the rubber stripping, and this is how you put it together. There are little notches, and so this is long, and this goes down through all of the notches, which I loved. And sturdy raised bed, you're not getting any movement. So I will say, if I were to purchase more, and I did purchase this one, this was not a gifted thing, it was not sponsored, I actually purchased that one myself. That would be the bed that I would buy. And then this would probably be my next option for tall raised beds. They aren't super cheap though, I will tell you that. I think the bootstrap farmer one was maybe $160, but it was worth it to me not to have to do nuts and bolts because I have my nails on. And so as I mentioned, you got to fill those beds. So not your cheapest way to get started. Now, what I will say is it may be your best long term so that you don't have to replace things. And a lot of my no-dig dig beds, I'm kind of thinking of replacing them just because if moles or voles come back, I don't have as much problem in the higher, taller raised beds as I do in the block beds or in the no dig beds. So just putting that out there, So those are all of my raised beds. What is that? All right, y'all, I gotta be watching. Have y'all been seeing like the videos where people are seeing like snakes up in their trellises? Whew, child's been taking me out. And I don't realize that I'm on a snake video until I'm already on it. Anyway, let's talk about bags. Now I do think I got off track. I was just talking. So this was not my cheapest to highest. That's what I said it was gonna be, but it was not. So let's talk about bags. So I have quite a few bags. I do like that some of them come in colors. I got these from Bootstrap Farmer too, and I absolutely love it. Purple is my favorite color. If you're not new here, you already know that. And then I also have some black bags in here. And I've had all of these bags since I started, the black bags, and I know people do talk about them like deteriorating, and I think that they will. It's basically felt, I guess. I'm not really sure. And I think that they will. I've had them though since I started. I have not thrown away one grow bag. So just putting that out there. And you can grow just about anything in them. You can grow your fall vegetables in them, your summer vegetables in them. So I grow tomatoes solely in garden bags, and then I also grow peppers in garden bags and grow bags. I'm growing broccoli in them this year. I have grown cabbage in them before. So they do work to grow just about anything that you can grow in a raised bed, in ground, or in no dig. So one thing about grow bags is they do dry out a bit faster than the other ways that you can grow in your garden. And so that's just, either put some drip on it, water it more often. I don't have a problem with them. And then make sure you put a decent amount of organic matter in it. Organic matter can be things from compost, worm castings, the things that's gonna hold the moisture. I use perlite for drainage, but you could do vermiculite. That helps to hold moisture. I also mulch them. So I put straw on top of mine, but you could use leaves, you could use wood chips, just to help hold the moisture into the soil. So they do dry out faster, but it's not a big deal to me. I also like the fact that I can move them. So every summer I get to the point where I'm sick of the height. Like I want the height to go away. I want to be able to move through my main garden aisle. And so whatever plants are in the main garden aisle, I move them after I pull my tomatoes out because my tomatoes always go quickly. And so I like the fact that you can move them as well. Okay, so now on to the green stalks. I have been growing in green stalks for a few months now. I have gotten a good amount of harvest off of them. I have tried to grow pretty much anything that I can in them. Also thinking that I'm gonna do a tower this year of like the fall vegetables that I'm putting out in the garden. So some broccoli, some cabbage. I'm just gonna try and see what happens. Anyway, like I said, they are 2 square feet. They take up 2 square feet and you are basically growing up. And so this was the first one that I ever purchased. And I was very excited to purchase it. I was seeing everything online and they have not disappointed. And so they have these pockets. This is an original, but they have a leaf one where the pockets are a little bit shorter. And so you can get a spinner base and then you can spin it and it only takes up a small amount of space. And so what I will say is you need potting soil that's light. You don't want to use garden soil in here. I personally buy a soil called BM6, but at this point I'm kind of using that all over my garden because you can get a 3.8 cubic foot bag and it does not take that whole bag to fill up these green stalks. And so that's why I started using it. It's heavy to get back here one time. I don't have to get a whole bunch of bags. I think it's like $30-some a bag, but it's 3.8 cubic feet. And so I'm happy with my decision. I'm not telling anybody else to buy that. I'm not telling anybody else to buy anything overly expensive. I'm just saying make sure you put potting soil in it and a decent potting soil because it's in a container. It's essentially a container. This is my other group of green stalks. And so this is the leaf planter, a little bit shorter. This is a leaf planter section, but this is the inventor's bundle. So you get some originals and you get some leaf. And so I have strawberries in here. I have tomatoes in this one. Over here, I have zucchini. And so if you're in a very small space where you absolutely cannot dig, you cannot put out a raised bed, this is a good option. I like them. There's another one. I can't think of the name of it. Maybe it's a garden tower. It's a little bit bigger. I think you can get worm bins in the inside. I don't know. But these are the ones that I like. I've never had the other one. And I mean, I really like these. And so this is what I'm going to stick with. I like that I can get them in a bunch of different colors. And that's why I'm going to stick with these. And then I have another one over here, and it has herbs in it. And it's right beside my back door. And true story, let's say I didn't want this by my back door anymore. I could take this down and then I could move it. And so green stalks for the win for me. I really do like those. But in the way of how much it costs, it's not going to be your most inexpensive way to get started. However, if you don't have the option to do any of the other things I talked about, it's a great option. And then I have one I'm growing potatoes in. I am hopeful. Very hopeful. I love growing potatoes and I love harvesting potatoes. It's like a treasure hunt and I really love growing those. All right, so someone asked me about the trellises, how I have them set up. So if you're in a small space, if you want to grow things that vine, trellises are a great idea. And you don't have to buy a cattle panel. Cattle panel is slightly expensive. You also have to be able to get it home. It's heavy, it's bulky. You can use whatever you can use to trellis, but trellising is a good idea. But I will show you how I have them set up. Also, not your cheapest way to get started. However, I think they're gonna last for quite some time. So I'll show you right here. So I have a T-post and I just have zip ties holding the T-post to the cattle panel. And then I just put the T-post down into the soil. And I do have a T-post driver. When I originally started, I was using a mallet. It sucked. It sucked really bad. So I did invest in a T-post driver just because it made it much easier for me to get them in. And at one point I was taking them down, putting them up, taking them down, putting them up. I don't do that anymore. So I invested in it, probably won't need it too many more times, but it helped getting it up. But that's all I do. I use zip ties. As they fall off, I put more zip ties on them, and you can cut T-posts. I did not know what the tool is called. I don't even know what that tool is, if I'm honest, but you can cut them. And so that's how I have all of my cattle panel trellises. Where is it? That's how I have my cattle panel trellises in. And so I think that's it. I grow in ground, no dig, raised beds, bags, and green stalks, as well as I put things up on the trellis to save me some space. And so that's the video for today. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be short, but I still hope that you enjoyed it. And if you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to visit me over on Instagram, where I post about the things going on in my garden almost every day. Bye, y'all.